Don't want no smoke. 12 killing folks, put us into a boat. Watch it unfold. Ayy, it's part of the plan, got you under control. Ayy, got them like what with the TikToks and their mind blocked and a renegade. Trying to kill kings and make lost queens. And they let me to make lemonade.
Can't make no lemonade out of pigs. Can't make juice out of sticks. Only mix, yeah. Holy shit, need a fix. Then another fix, yeah. What it is, what it is, yeah.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing to do. I ain't got nothing to lose.
You are now tuned into the 6 Feet IMTH podcast, where we highlight the lives of entrepreneurs and people that are out forward evolving their effort and time into making things happen. Today on the panel, I have somebody that I've been excited to interview. He has been doing numbers and he has made a large impact in the mental health care awareness program and movement that's going on. He has a DNP, PMHNP, and BC, is a Ghanaian American psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, entrepreneur, and writer. He graduated from the University of West Alabama with an associate's degree in nursing, and then obtained his bachelor's degree in nursing from Western Governors University. He went on to obtain his doctorate in nursing practice degree from Augusta University with a specialty in psychiatric. He has 3 years of teaching experience as an adjunct faculty professor with the College of Nursing at his alma mater, Augusta University. He has a passion for treating and caring for persons with severe mental health conditions. He is the CEO and co-founder of Abrente and Signora LLC, a clothing line dedicated to spreading positivity and health, mental health awareness for teenagers and college students. That's in the back of his book that you can get. You Already Won on all Amazon and everywhere. You need to go get it. Great read. We have none other than Dr. Kojo Sarfo.
How you doing?
Sarfo. Dr.
Yeah.
Sarfo.
Yeah.
Hold long. It just, anyway.
You got it. It's all good. I appreciate you.
Sarfo. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. It's an honor to be on your podcast.
Absolutely.
It's a blessing.
Absolutely. So basically, like, what this is all about, we're out here, like I was saying, just highlighting the lives of people. And you're somebody that has played a role and has actively took it upon yourself to find a purpose in something that can be of service to a lot of people. So basically, to start off with your journey, you've done a lot of schooling. And that is something that is a lot of people always have on the edge of whether they should or shouldn't go to school. So for you, starting off, I know you come from an African family, a household and everything like that. But what was, I guess, your initial motivation to take on the challenge of becoming a doctor?
So for me, it's interesting that you mentioned my background, because that has a lot to do with everything that I do, and it had a lot to do with how I was thinking, coming up. And education is very important to our family, coming from Ghana, West Africa. So I had to make sure that I succeeded in school, not only for myself, but also it's a pride thing. Like, you succeed on behalf of your family. So like, I always knew that I wanted to do something. Like, college was non-negotiable for us growing up. So I knew I was gonna go to college and do something. Now, that's something I did not know. I didn't know I would go and get a doctorate one day, but I knew that I had to do something that would make, myself feel like, okay, I have purpose, or, I have a plan to have a decent living, and also make my parents proud. But, initially in my educational journey, it was more so of trying not to be a failure, because I had failed so many classes in high school. And I was entering college, at a phase in my life where I felt like a failure. So I kind of had that taste in my mouth every step of the way. So as I caught fire, I kept going to school, and I'm like, you know what? I got to the point where after I got my bachelor's degree, graduation for me was at Disney World in Orlando. This is 2015. Graduation was at Disney World in Orlando for me. And I remember being at graduation for my bachelor's degree, and I was telling myself, I said, I know I'm going back to school. I'm going to get a doctorate of some kind, but I just knew it right there. I was sitting at graduation get my bachelor's degree. And I just knew that I was going to go back and get at least a doctorate degree because I felt so motivated in that moment. So the fear of failure turned into like, it started off negative, but it turned into like, I want to do this. I got to do it for me.
Right, right. I don't know if you ever seen like Will Smith's whole dialogue about skydiving when he was talking about like fear and how he was on the airplane and just like okay,
I think I may have seen it on like a little Facebook video before.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was saying like the most beautiful things in life is like on the other side of like fear, and that's
right.
what I was getting into. Is just with what you had. So was that like fear or school was a fear of yours?
Well, the failure, failing in school, which happened to me in high school. So moving like forward, I knew that it was a remote possibility that I could fail again because I had failed before, and I knew what to do to fail. Don't be motivated, don't do your work, but the fear of failure kind of prevented me from wanting to do more. So I had to conquer that fear, with the hopes that I could get to like where I am today. But it did have like a mental block in my head for a while, but even though I was scared, I still did it. I did everything scared until I had enough confidence to keep moving forward.
Doing things scared, and that's definitely like I guess like a mental game that you have to play with yourself. Is just like you don't want to do it, but you want to do it. And you have to like trick yourself into like this,
right?
Something that's gonna like benefit me. So even like bouncing back from before you were like even that, I guess you say you were like failing in school and like before you got to the doctorate and like college program, but like your failures before while you were in school and everything like that, and you can talk a little bit about that and like what that was like for you experiencing those different things, going through school, going through college.
Yeah, because up until high school I was AB honor roll student. The majority of the kids in my family had all A's, all B's. I was kind of like on the lower end, but like I would never, like a C for me would be rare. So AB honor roll, it kept me like, I wasn't like a straight A all-star student, but then again, I wasn't bad enough to where like I would stand out. So I was doing okay, but it wasn't until I hit high school that I started to really struggle. And that was a new thing for me. So I remember every F. I remember the back and forth with the teachers in the classroom, the teacher saying that I wouldn't do well in college. I remember in English when, I couldn't write papers. I remember plagiarizing off for Spark Notes. The teacher gave me back the essay and it had a 64 in big letters, in red. Right. And then I'm like, dang, like people can see, like if people look in the corner of the eye, they can see that I got a 64. And he put 64 and then he put an F, as if I didn't know that a 64 is an F. So I mean, that was what, maybe 10, 11 years ago, but I still remember it like it's yesterday. So, you don't forget those things.
Absolutely. And now you are basically, you've gone through all of that. And now you are basically on your way to be a mogul, as I see it, the way that you're.
Appreciate it. That's the plan.
You got the TikTok shirt on. We can talk about it. You've recently, it's 200. You've had 200K followers. Is that,
yeah.
And that's I'm not really I guess hip or like privy to TikTok, so how that works. But you caught on the way early and just been riding it. So
yeah,
what's your strategy for the ones that want to get into TikTok and all that? What's your method for that?
So I mean, for TikTok, you have to be doing something that you're passionate about. You can't just hop on the app and then say, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Or if you hop on with the intention of being, I want to be famous, I want to have a blue check mark, I want people to know that I'm famous, or, you could blow up that way, but it would be harder because at some point when you run out of steam, you'll just quit the app. But when you have passion for doing what you do, it would be easier. And for me, even before TikTok, on Instagram, like, I was promoting the book on Instagram. I was promoting the book on YouTube, a lot of Facebook. I was paying for Facebook advertisements. I paid for Instagram ads, and I never got the reach that I got on TikTok. And Instagram never embraced me as the creator like TikTok did, for what they've done for me. So I just kept putting out content and then showing my personality and just being transparent, not trying to, like in Atlanta, you know how people say cap? You know, I'm not trying to cap or anything. I was trying to keep it real and talk about my failures, because that's what the kids want to hear about. People don't want you to come on there and say, oh, I have a doctorate, I'm smart, I'm making this, I got a book. They want you to be transparent because people need to be able to connect to you. So I just kept it real, and I just told my journey the whole way through. And as I was telling my story, and I'm still telling my story, people would join me along, you know, and then people who like followed me way back in December, like have seen my growth. I think it's been a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man, you've come a long way. And this right here, we can definitely talk about this, because I do definitely think like people need to read this, because reading was something I recently like hopped into like habitually. Really, I want to say June. That's when the first book I picked up was Build Your Empire by Brian Coolers, and then a book by David Goggins about mental toughness and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, there's a pattern here. These people that are, you know, out here doing things are basically just sharing their stories in books. And back in the day, you know what I'm saying, people would just listen to other people's stories and basically like learn, but there's not really a whole lot of that. There's more like, you know, people just kind of like on their cell phones and stuff like that. So, but you talked about transparency, and that is something that is nothing but transparent in this book.
Yeah.
You being, let's talk about, okay, so you coming to, when did you come to America?
1999.
And how old were you?
I was 5.5, almost 6.
5.5. And so are you like speaking with a like accent and everything like that? Like,
I don't think so. I mean, I think even now, like if I have an accent, it'd be a little bit of maybe the Ghanaian mixed with the Norwegian mixed with a Southern accent. But I don't remember having an accent. Well, I may have had an accent because we were speaking the Norwegian language, Norsk. I could speak it fluently, and I could speak English as well. And then also I had the native Ghanaian language, right? So I had a bit of language confusion, but my English was on point. You know.
Right. Because I was just like, man, like they had you, or basically like you coming through school,
Right.
like different, you know what I'm saying? Because you were talking about like how like they put you on the short bus. You're like, yo,
yeah,
what's going on?
I was in the short bus. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then like moving forward from that, and like going through like school and everything, and then I know that definitely feeling for like a lot of kids, they could feel because of what other reasons, like different. You know what I'm saying? For just being themselves. And with you like moving through this, like you're just being yourself. There was nothing like wrong with you.
Right.
You weren't disabled or anything like that. That's not why you were on that bus or like why you were going through school and everything. But y'all definitely need to go get the book. Read. You already won, by the way. But basically, like you're just like going through it. So it seems like there was like a shift after you started like noticing, like you were saying, like you noticed it, like the comments from people and how they were like talking about you, which leads to one of your chapters where like a big point where you're saying like people's opinions don't matter, you know what I'm saying? And it's all about you know, how you choose to go. So I guess going through school and you now taking on like mental awareness, you know what I'm saying? I know all of those things that you talked about in your book like played into like why this is such a passionate topic about you.
Right.
So, I guess you found your purpose inadvertently from all your experiences.
Perfect way to put it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Through what you had to go through, that you just being an aspiring, I guess, starting from an immigrant background,
right,
to going through the American school system and how they marginalize you and put you in these different sections. I guess that's how they do it now. And some people do need, you know what I'm saying, more attention than others, of course. But from people that are different, especially skin of our color, you know what I'm saying, Black people and African people and, you know, everybody in between, they have different ways of, you know, setting them up. And I think that's a large reason why we have so many like mental issues or mental health issues in America today. You know? Right. So so now with you basically like on your movement, you talked about it was something along the lines of like you were saying, meeting with those things from your past. and the importance of that. So I was just, wanted to hear like from you, like where did that start for you to take that journey to meet with those things from your past and like confronting those, like
Right.
everything that happened for you to move forward.
Yeah. Like as you know, as life moved on. Great question, by the way. Like things just start to line up. Like I started to make sense of things. Like I would have different, encounters with people. I would have different experiences, unique experiences. And after a while, I started to tell myself, all right, all this is not by accident. Like, these things that are happening, like they're happening for a reason. Like I started to believe that there was a purpose behind every single thing that was happening in my life, good or bad. The good was good and I enjoyed it, but the bad was there. But at the same time, the adversities, they would repeat themselves in a productive way in my future. Like I'd be able to see a situation, and say, okay, all right, I messed up this time, and next time I get into the same situation, I'm going to excel. It's kind of like a basketball player trying to practice. You shoot the same shot over and over and over again. And life kept giving me the same L's over and over in different categories. And then I would see it by the time like it was 2, 3, 4 years down the line. And then I would realize, oh, okay, you know what? When I go to college, I need to be more proactive because if you have to work from behind, if you leave things to chance, you're pretty much going to fail. Likewise with business, I have that same mentality. I want to be proactive. I'm my own biggest critic. At the same time, I'm also trying to be kind to myself. So trying to pull from both directions, but everything that's happened, I firmly believe that everything that's happened in my past happened for a reason. And without those things, I wouldn't be as solid as I am now. And even as I am now, there's still more to do,
Absolutely. So now moving forward, I guess you, and shouts out Kid Cudi and all those different influences that you've had with like music. I guess we could talk about you, and I want to pronounce this right, Abrante and Signora.
Abrante and Signora, yep.
And Signora. So where, I guess, did the whole like inspiration for you to even start a clothing line? Because there's a lot of people that want to be entrepreneurs now, and or might be living without their purpose, but or stepping into it. But
right.
Where did your purpose to be like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I want to do. I'm gonna start a clothing line.
Right. So this is one of the things that I feel like the opportunity kind of presented itself to me, and when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I was deciding, of course I speak about in the book, I was deciding what the next step was going to be. I knew that I wanted to go back to school, and I was trying to decide between medical school or PhD or DNP. So with the DNP track, which is the Doctor of Nursing Practice, there's also a similar path where you can get the same degree without a doctorate, right? So I applied to 2 programs, and this is relevant for how I got into the clothing company. I applied to 2 programs, the University of South Alabama, which is a school that I had attended before my first year of college, and Augusta University, which I had never attended, but I lived in Augusta. Mm-hmm. So the Alabama school had the master's, and Augusta school had the doctorate. So I didn't get into the master's program, but I got into the doctorate. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get a doctorate, and that will eliminate me from having to get the master's and then go back to the doctorate, right? I said, I get it all in one. But by me doing that, I would have to stay in school just a little bit more for the doctorate. So I apply to AU, I get in. Fast forward to fall of 2016, I got straight A's that semester for maybe the first time in like 10 years. And then after that semester, I didn't feel satisfied. Like I had finally gotten all A's for the first time since I can remember, but I did not feel like I felt like 1%, like, discontent within myself. I said, all right, something has got to give. So, I was listening to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk at the time, who I still listen to, and a lot of motivational podcasts and things like that. And during the winter break, 2016, I decided that I wanted to start a clothing company. I wanted to start a company, but then I wanted to promote a message. And then we thought that we'd use clothes, because clothes, you wear clothes every day. People will see the message on your shirt before they even talk to you. So we figured that, okay, let's use the clothes to spread like a positive message. So that's how I got into the clothing company, because I was in a doctorate program and I had like 3 years left to graduate, and I needed some type of return on my purpose. I wanted some type of tangible thing to feel like, all right, I'm doing my thing. I'm moving forward, because 3 years was so long for me, but I wanted something to show that, okay, I wanted to feel like I was doing something. So that was what the clothing company represented for me at the time. And it gave me like, it opened up like a whole new world of purpose for me.
Wow. So, dang. So you were basically, you were doing doctorate school. You were working on your doctorates,
Right.
running your clothing line, and everything that goes with that, running your own. And were you doing anything else like in between that?
I was a son. I was a son to my parents.
You got relationships.
Yeah, I was still working double shifts on the weekends at the hospital. So I would put in like 32 hours sometimes on the weekends, like working 16-hour shifts back to back. I was in a relationship at that time, so I was wearing all these different hats, and I was juggling like a whole bunch of balls, knowing that some of them would drop, and some of them did drop. But it was a learning experience. Like, I needed that for who I am today. But it was a lot. It was a lot.
Absolutely. So for somebody that I guess may be taking on college, school, business, aspiring to be an entrepreneur, what would you say for somebody that is wearing all those hats and trying to juggle that?
Yeah. That person's got to be self-aware. You have to be. It all starts with you. Like, you know, in your head, you're the star of the show. It's your world, and everybody's living in it. And I say that to say that for maybe one day, get very selfish and sit down and think about what are all the things that I need at this point in time. And then keep in mind, in 2 or 3 months, your needs might change. Like, my last semester of school versus after I graduated, my needs were completely different, you know. But sit down there and realize, okay, if you're somebody who's juggling all those things at one time, then something like time is very important to you. So you have to let people in your family know, hey, I like spending 3 hours with you every Thursday night watching Netflix, but because of what I have going on, we can only watch like for 30 minutes, you know. And it's, of course, it's hard to start watching a Netflix show and pause, but you know, you have to be vocal with people. Be vocal with your parents and say, hey, I can't do things on short notice. I love you, but you have to put the boundaries in place. Be vocal with your coworkers, your manager, and say, hey, I will work these extra shifts, but I'm also in school, so I need you to respect my time, respect my schedule. Be vocal with the person that you're dating, saying, hey, I'm so busy with school and my purpose that right now, I might only be able to talk to you. I might be able to only spend like 1 day a week with you, and say, okay, all right, we're going to have dates every Saturday night. So every Saturday night, I promise to not focus on all that. We'll go out somewhere nice and eat and spend time together. But you have to be vocal, because if you don't say that, the person will think that you're ignoring them or you're seeing somebody else, or, you know, like, that's what's going to happen. If you leave things a chance, you're not going to have a good result. So for somebody who's juggling all those things, if communication is not a strength, you got to figure out how to make it a strength overnight, pretty quickly.
That's what a lot of people say, like, especially like with relationships and things, like communication is key. You know what I'm saying? But how you were explaining, like, communication is not just saying, hey, I'm busy, don't talk to me, or, you know what I'm saying, throwing it off, or I told you I was busy. It's like, like being specific, like, okay, on this date, if you want me to add you to my calendar, so you know, this is what's going on. And you were saying, like, you got to be selfish, and it was something in your book. You already won, by the way. Go get that, Amazon.
Thank you.
You were saying being selfish. You were saying, like, a lot of people will say in the beginning that they want to be of service to people, do different things for people, be this, be that, and that you can't give somebody something if you're like at zero still. You know, if you start at 0 and you try to give somebody 1, you don't have nothing to give. So you're saying,
it's not gonna work.
Selfish and working on yourself, and if you're working in like a service or working to become a better you, that's going to be a lot more service to other people, because you have, you know what I'm saying? I thought that was a great message, or a great paragraph from your book about that, you know. You were
it's all about, you know, being being present and being there. You cannot show up for other people if you run out of energy, just like your phone. Like when your phone's about to die, it says 20%, 10%, 5%. And if you're stubborn and you say, oh, I'm going to go on a long road trip and I don't need my charger, your phone will die. So the same way when you're getting down to 10%, 5%, you know, at that time it's back off, recharge, get back up to where you can help people again. But if you have nothing to give, you can't give anybody anything, and then of course you can't give yourself, what you need.
Yeah, it's like a tree that wants to give fruit, but it's still a seed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, what you gonna do? You in the dirt still, yo.
Right.
Come up, and I think it definitely is important what you're saying, like with communicating that to other people that you have stuff going on, for people to respect that too, to know that, okay, right now I may not be, where I can be, but where I will be is, it's gonna be a lot better for all y'all too.
Exactly. I feel like I've said phrases like that to people in my life multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll thank me later.
Right.
Absolutely.
It'll all pay off.
It'll all pay off. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So with that, another thing that my favorite chapter personally from this book was the second to last one about mental awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt like with your whole transparency, where you're talking about all the things you went through as a kid, and high school and the difficulties and everything like that. You talked about something that really resonated with me when you were talking about like the whole ADHD debate.
Yep.
And self-diagnosing that, and that being something, because I always grew up with people saying, oh, I got ADHD. You know what I'm saying? I got ADD or whatever. And you were saying that, of course they have like medications and different things like that for you.
Right.
But what stuck out to me is like you tried the medications, but before that, before you even like sought to, really see if that was like a thing or get that diagnosed, you had basically a way to like work around that with setting imaginary due dates for yourself.
Yep.
Things like that. So is that something that you still, I guess, struggle with to this day?
Yeah, I still do. I do all the time. Like if, normally out here in Virginia, like when I meet with a patient, I'll meet with a patient at 1 o'clock. That's when we have our treatment team meetings. So it'll be me, the psychologist, the nurses, the whole group will meet with the patient at 1 o'clock. So every now and then I will be late, but I've gotten a lot better. And what I'll do is in my calendar on my phone, I'll say meeting with patient at 12:35 p.m. So I know to be there around 12:35 p.m. So if I'm a little late, which when I shoot for 12:35, I get there at 12:44, but I'm still 16 minutes early for the actual 1 o'clock appointment. So I still do that. I trick myself into knowing that, okay, this is due this day, this is due this day. Even with payday, like payday for me would be Friday, but I tell myself that, oh, payday is going to be the next Friday. So that way I'm not like depending on that money. I also want to stay on top of things. So because I'm self-aware, like I know that naturally I can do so much. Like it's almost the ADHD, ADD is almost a superpower for me. Like I can focus on so many different things. It makes me more creative. But at the same time, I know that if I don't have a plan and I have all these things going on, I'm going to be spaced out and I won't be able to do anything. So I'll have schedules made, a day in advance. Like, for example, I did it at work. So when I go to work, this is a real practical tip. So before I left work, I wrote down all the things that I need to do. I wrote down 4 patients whose family members I have to call them about medications. Everything is written down neatly there. So when I get to work, wake up, shoot hoops or whatever, shower, get to work a little bit early / on time. When I get to work, my task for the day will be outlined. I don't have to think, because if I don't do that, it might take me a whole hour and a half to think about what I need to do. And then I'll get caught up watching Tennessee Titans highlights on YouTube before I return back to my work. So I'll know, okay, this is what I have to do. I just have to follow the steps. I follow the steps 1 through 8, do everything. And normally doing that, I have free time at the end of the day to do more research, to maybe watch a football highlight video on my phone. but certain things have to get done in a proper time, people's lives and all that stuff. So I make lists and I find different ways to trick myself. And I didn't even know I was doing that subconsciously, but growing up, I would do that as a coping mechanism.
Right. And I guess, you as a doctor, can you define ADHD? So for like the people that are saying it, because like in the book, that is somebody that I know a thing that people do like actually deal with and have.
Right.
So for you, as a doctor, can you define like ADHD and like kind of like what that looks like? You know what I'm saying? Like for somebody.
Right. So you have two types. You have the inattentive type, which is more of what I would consider myself to be. Then you have the hyperactive type, So the inattentive, that's somebody who is spaced out. And normally you would hear the teachers say, like, growing up, oh, this person is in the world of their own. This person is daydreaming. They're very forgetful. They can't pay attention. They're living in like a fantasy world. They're always late to places. They forget their car key. Well, if you're a key, you have car keys, but you forget your books, your assignments. You forget to turn in your homework, so you have to get a penalty on that. That's more of the inattentive type. And then the hyperactive type is people who hyperactive, people who, if you're talking to them or if you're having a conversation, they'll jump in and they'll blurt things out, fidgety, have a hard time sitting still. And also sometimes you see like a combination of the two. And for adults, you can also have adults who are diagnosed with ADHD. Normally those symptoms would have been seen in their childhood, but maybe they weren't able to get a formal diagnosis when they were kids because of a lack of health care, lack of finances, whatever the case may be. But for kids, you would have to see these symptoms, and at least you have to see it in two different environments. So you have to see it like at home, and then you have to see it at school. The teacher would have witnessed it at school, and then the parents would witness it at home. And then we have different standardized tests that we can do to rule out different things to make sure that it is ADHD. But it is a real thing, and a lot of times people will self-diagnose and say, "Oh, I'm ADD today or ADHD today," but it's a real thing. And for a lot of people, we have to really zone in on focusing. Yep. Like you have to remember that you have to tell yourself to focus, whereas somebody else will just focus. But like I have to prompt myself. It's kind of like when you're driving and you see a stop sign, your right foot will automatically go to the brake. So think about it in driving terms. Think about having to think about that. You're like, okay, you're driving. Okay, let me take my right foot and ease it off the gas, and let me put my right foot on the brake. You see, it's a lot of more extra mental work.
Yeah, and that's how it feels to have ADHD, is to think or have to consciously focus on taking your foot off the brake.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And moving it to the brake or the gas.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess you were saying like tests. Like what do the tests look like for ADHD? And
So you'll go in, so in psychiatry, there's no like objective, like the thing about psychiatry, which I actually like is, if let's say you go to like endocrinologist or a primary care doctor, and then you want to know, you're like, oh, I have a family history of diabetes. Am I diabetic? They can draw your blood, look at your A1C. They can look at labs. They can look at your blood sugar, and they can be like, oh, wow, you have diabetes. There's something's going on with your pancreas. Like you have diabetes. But in psychiatry, everything is subjective. You go off the reports, so you'll get in with a doctor. If you're a kid, they might bring in your parents and reports from school. But as an adult, the doctor can give you a questionnaire, fill it out, and then based off of that, they'll say, okay, this person has ADHD. Now, it's something that I think people can fake it a lot. It can be faked if you know what to say. If it's somebody who they're like, all right, I just have to, get Adderall, and then I go back to college and I can sell, one Addy for, because people do that.
People do that.
And not to judge, but people do that. So it's difficult for somebody who actually has ADHD sometimes to find adequate care, to go to the doctor and fill out the questionnaire. But technically a doctor, your primary care doctor, your psychiatric NP, psychiatric PA, psychiatrist. They can talk to you for a few minutes and hear feedback, and they can make a clinical diagnosis of ADHD, and they can send you on your way with medications. Or if you don't want that, you can go with therapy. There's so many different options for people with ADHD.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like treating it. It's like, okay, like what do you do like after you find out, okay, this is something that I need to give attention to. Ironically, and it's a whole thing. And some people don't want to take medication.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you were saying there's things like therapy that you can do.
Right.
Like self-therapy that people can do, I guess, for something like that.
Well, I mean, we have therapy. Standard therapy would be something like cognitive behavioral therapy, which is essentially just trying to train your brain to think more positively, instead of having negative thoughts, change it from a negative thought to a positive thought and be more organized, and things like that. So we have therapy, of course, and then what I consider to be self-therapy is just being self-aware. Like if you know that, something takes so long, you have to be careful of doing it before you have to get somewhere in the morning, and even for me, like ADHD is going to affect every part of your life. So whenever I'm traveling, and I can pick between two flights, if it's a 6 a.m. flight or a red eye that leaves at 11 p.m. or midnight, I'm always going to take the red eye because it's hard for me to catch the 6 a.m. flight. Mm-hmm. So like I position myself to succeed because I know myself. And also another thing that can be helpful for anybody, not even just people with ADHD, just anybody. Right. Create an environment where the people who you love the most can tell you the things that you need to hear the most. So I have like a open door policy. I mean, obviously, like I don't have an office here literally, but my younger brothers came out here to Virginia for the summer, and they came with their friend, Nate. He's not a blood brother, but essentially a brother to us. And like he would figure out different things about me, and I'm like, bro, what do you think about that? And he's 15, but I'm gonna take his input because this is somebody who he's a friend of the family. He cares about me, so he'll be like, "Yo, Kojo, you hit the alarm a lot in the morning. So how many alarms are you gonna put on?" So I'm mindful of that, So it's the small things, but if you get it to a point where people can't tell you anything, or people are walking on eggshells around you, nobody can tell you the small things that you need to like work on. That could save you a great deal of time, and that could be very therapeutic. It could, in my opinion, I feel like it could be more beneficial or just as beneficial as therapy because you're getting an input on how you do things. And somebody might come out and say, "Yo, why are you doing this way? This is taking you a whole hour. I can show you how to do it in 10 minutes." Small things like that will save you time,
Yeah. And that was something that you had stressed in the book. And I think I love that you are actively people are able to see you as an African-American male that has gone through it, become educated to reach the status of doctor in mental health. And that's something that is really a large thing that's like in the Black community, or just, Black people, especially in general, with not recognizing that we have issues mentally that are, come from, trauma throughout, history, or just, systematically, or everything, but we don't ask for help. Mm-hmm. We don't reach out.
Right.
And that's something that, is really big. I always wondered, like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, why? And find myself a lot of times. But what it seems like for you, like you've mastered the ability of asking for help, even starting from when you were in school to the clothing line to being able to, you had mentioned, like being able to put people in certain situations and like a help you, help me. But when it comes to mental health, that being something that a lot of people are afraid to open up about and let people in, even like enough to know. So what would you say, I guess, about like the importance of getting help? Not so much as like getting help, like, oh, you're just, something's wrong with you, dude. You know what I'm saying? You just you're messed up. What's going on with you? But just like help in like you were saying, like the small things, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And allowing ways to allow people to or the right people to be invited. How would you go about somebody starting off, you know what I'm saying, on their mental health?
Right.
They're seeing memes on Instagram, you know what I'm saying, people out and stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How would you, I guess, assist somebody with advice that is taking that journey on help? You know what I mean? And finding.
Right. I think the best way to get help and ask for help is to set yourself up to be able to be helped, you know, and you can do this by, you know, auditing and checking your environment. So if there's people around you who are clearly toxic to you, you have to cut them off, but you have to spend less time with them. You know, people who are always gossiping, or people who are in the same place today that they were 5 years ago, people who are saying, oh, I'm finna do this, I'm gonna do this. And then people who are jealous, I stay away from those people as best as possible. I want to hang around people who are doing things. Whether your thing is a success or not, I just want you to be doing something, because that will inspire me. And then also creating that environment where people can be open and honest with you is going to be helpful, because a lot of times, sometimes we'll be in a situation where we'll ask for help, but nobody will want to tell you the truth, because they know when they tell you the truth, you're going to have an over-the-top emotional reaction. So, but look, this is the truth. A lot of people, like I've had friends who they'll want you to tell them the truth, but then I'll check my time and say, oh snap, if I tell you the truth, it's gonna be a 3-hour argument. You know, you're gonna go back and forth with me. It won't be productive. You know, so I'm not able to tell them what they need to hear. You know, so if you can, like, check yourself, you know, try and be humble and allow people to tell you the things that you really need to hear. Like, it's the things that you really, really, really need to hear that is the most hurtful to hear.
Absolutely.
You know, so like, I'm so used to hearing hurtful things, you know, but it's making me better, because I'd rather people tell me, in my opinion, if you say you love me and you're close to me and I'm messing up, let me know.
Let me know. Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Charlemagne the God, shout out to him from the Breakfast Club.
Shout out Charlemagne, yeah.
And he's somebody that definitely inspired me about living in your truth.
Yep.
If you live in your truth, nobody else can hurt you. That's your truth. You know what I'm saying? And I
love it.
And with mental health, that's like the scar for a lot of people, that puts people in a place because they know what they want to be. They have this like idea of like ego of who they are, but their outside isn't reflecting that same instinct.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely agree with what you were saying with surrounding yourself with people that are going to be honest with you, but then two, also being able to accept that help and that honesty in a productive way, as it's not always personal. You know, it is personal because they personally want to help you, but it's not personal that they're attacking you or they're taking it, you know, and they just take it. It might hurt for a minute. It might hurt for, 2 minutes, an hour, a day, or whatever. But, you know, these are things that you need to hear to be better, you know.
Exactly.
And that's that's the whole goal. So from all that, so basically you went through years of schooling, punishment to success, to business, thriving from that, and now you're in your profession. Basically, like, do you feel like everything you worked towards, like, you've achieved it, and like you're living in that now? You know what I'm saying?
I do. I feel like this is a manifestation of hard work. Sometimes I have to like sometimes I'll be in my office and I'll pinch myself, like, okay, like, I've really done it. Like, you know, like I spent so much, you know, time, blood, sweat, and tears trying to get that degree, trying to graduate from Augusta University, trying to make it to the next level, and like now I'm here. It's almost surreal. It almost feels like I'm living in some type of fantasy world. So on one hand, I feel like, wow, this is unreal. I can't believe I'm actually here. I'm actually doing this. And on the other hand, I feel like I haven't done anything yet. I'm like, okay, I'm just beginning. Like, there's so much more to like y'all haven't seen anything. Like, this is just like it's like the 1%, and there's 99% more left for me to do. So I try and stay in between, like both of those, because I want to be grateful, and I also want to maintain that sense of ambition and that hunger, even if I have to trick myself into getting it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's something that a lot of people give up, you know,
Right.
because they see how hard and they get to it. They're like, oh yeah, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a streamer. I want to be a content producer on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? I want to write my book. It'll be easy. You know what I'm saying? They get to it. I have to type. I have to produce all this content all the time. Consistent. You know what I'm saying? So they're and I guess, you know, getting to, like, you know, wrapping up this whole thing, I always set up for somebody, and congratulations first of all on all your accomplishments.
I appreciate it, man.
Because being
Thank
somebody
you so much.
has been able to watch you for the last 3 years, and you being able to impact my life with, you know, supporting my music aspirations and everything, and, you know, allowing me to be able to get out of my room on a laptop, just, you know, doing whatever to be on Apple Music, and, you know what I'm saying, doing, you know, just supporting my hobby. There are people that you know, don't always decide to follow through, don't always decide to see the bigger picture, and will give up. So I always give everybody an opportunity as like a message to the youth. Oh, nice. To basically set up, you know, a stage. So there's somebody out there. He might have had an idea to go to college, or his parents want him to go to college. He wants to be something, or he doesn't want to be go the college route. He wants to be an entrepreneur and start his business and do it. You know, he might have an idea for a clothing line. He might be, you know, have like the sketches and everything, but he's too shy to really express himself and show it to the world, and put himself out there. So what would you say to basically like a younger you that's going along this journey as something to kind of like carry them forward?
I mean, to a younger me, I tell myself, put your head down, and embrace everything. Enjoy the ups. Don't get too down on yourself when you hit the lows, and just realize that everything is happening for a reason. Like, everything is happening for a reason. Don't regret nothing. Don't be upset that anything is happening to you. Instead, realize that it's happening for you. Like I say in the book, like, these things are happening for you. Like, it's all a part of your experience here on earth. And just have the most positive mindset, and just know that at the end of the day, you will win, or that you already won.
Hey, come on, man. Get your book, man. You already won. Yes, sir. So we have a quick old rapid fire questionnaire for you.
Yes, sir.
So you have 45 seconds to answer as many questions as you can. So here we go. So
all right, there we go.
Best advice given to you?
Best advice given to me, believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. What's your favorite TikTok that you have made?
My favorite TikTok that I've made was a duet I did with a doctor in England, where we spoke about how we profiled in our hoodies but celebrated in our scrubs.
What's your favorite artist?
Drake.
What book would you give to your younger you?
The Alchemist.
Where can people follow you?
TikTok at Dr.Kojo Sarfo, and Instagram at Dr.Kojo Sarfo.
And where can people buy your book and shirts?
Amazon.com. Type in "You Already Won," or just go to kojosarfo.com, and you'll see book at the top right corner, and you'll be able to get my book and also get my merch.
Yeah, that was a 45. Yeah, you got it, man. You got it. That's what I'm talking about. You Already Won is out. I guess I'll look at this one. You Already Won is out on Amazon. Go get it. Go follow Kojo's clothing line, Abronte and Signora. Get you some merch, man. Do you have some merch on you right now that you could flash?
I don't actually, because I took them to dry cleaners.
Oh, okay.
Bad time on my part.
On the website though, so go to the website and get you some merch, man. Get you some merch. Kojo, I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Knowledge and sharing you putting your whole life story in these 116 pages. You know what I'm saying? You already won is a great message and mindset and something I was able to digest and I know I'm going to take with me. So
I appreciate that.
And supporting the 6 Feet IMTH podcast.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a blessing and an honor being on your podcast. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So 6 Feet IMTH podcast. Y'all stay tuned. You can like, comment, subscribe. Click the link in the bio. Go get some gear. This is a shirt from 6 Feet IMTH. You know what I'm saying? For everybody that is forward evolving their effort and time into making things happen. Don't stop what you're doing. Stay 6 feet. 6 feet.